Has the Johannesburg High Court's latest ruling against Judge President Hlophe paved the way for his impeachment? Well, yesterday the court dismissed his application to review the JSC's gross misconduct findings against him. The commission found Hlophe guilty after he allegedly sought to sway Justices Bess, Nkabinde and Jafta back in 2008. It relates to a ruling in the corruption case involving former President Jacob Zuma. So let's get you some analysis on the story now. Joining us is Mbekezeli Benjamin, who is a research and advocacy officer with Judges Matter. Great to have you with us on the program on a story that's, 13 years in the making?
Good morning, Michelle, and good morning to the viewers at home. Yes, it has actually, this is the 14th year of this saga, and we thought it was coming close, but it seems the finish line is getting further and further away. But I think the ruling by the Johannesburg High Court yesterday is an important milestone. It marks the end towards the impeachment process. As you know, Judge Hlophe filed the court application to try and set aside the guilty finding by the JSC. And now that the High Court has confirmed that finding, then it does clear the way for the impeachment process to begin in Parliament.
Do you reckon, all things considered, Mbekezeli, that impeachment will be how the story ends?
Well, it certainly looks like it. I think the ball is in Parliament's court. They will have to go through the process. They have considered the JSC's recommendations and make a decision. But from what the High Court found, there seems to be strong grounds for impeachment because they do say that Judge Hlophe committed an act of gross misconduct.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This is an incredibly important story insofar as the judiciary is concerned. Important and probably the first of its kind in the history of the judiciary, insofar as the uniqueness of the story, the litigation around the story, unfolding more than a decade after the actual incidents happened.
Well, Michelle, I must say that one of the things that the judgment points out is that there have been several litigation over the past decade. So there have been court cases. I think at the last count, there are about 12 to 13 unique court cases that have dealt with this. And they have been brought, some of them by Judge Hlophe, others by the other justices who are complainants in the matter. Other litigation has been brought by civil society organizations. So there have been multiple players in this, and that is why it has caused such a delay. Yeah. But again, we emphasize that this case has represented the litmus test on the resilience of the judiciary. And so far, we have been disappointed by how long the process has taken. But over the last few months, things have been moving quite fast, which we are encouraged by.
I mean, Mbekezeli, for one thing, you know, what does it mean? As you say, this process has developed over the past 14 years. The litigation has taken an incredibly long time. And in the meantime, Judge Hlophe has been presiding over cases.
Yes, so it was up to the JSC to decide to suspend Judge Hlophe, and they decided not to. I think they didn't give reasons at the time, but one would imagine a number of reasons why, including that at the time he had not yet been proven guilty of misconduct. A missed opportunity was when there was actually a finding of guilt, and at that point he should have been suspended. But yes, he does remain on the bench as the Judge President of the Western Cape until Parliament decides to remove him.
If indeed he is removed, he is impeached, would that cast questions over cases he's presided over?
No, it certainly wouldn't. The impeachment process and his day-to-day responsibilities are two different things, and it's important that we view them as different things. So on a day-to-day basis, he's still required to act within the standards that are expected of all judges, and this impeachment process only relates to an incident that actually was not, had nothing really to do with his judgments, but has more to do with his conduct outside of the courtroom. So I think we must continue to view these things differently. And even if he is impeached and removed from office, the judgments that he's given would not be subject to any sort of suspicion or scrutiny.
So there are two arguments, right? On the one hand, there are experts that are saying what was decided in the High Court in Johannesburg yesterday does pave the way now for his impeachment. On the other side of that, there is a group of analysts that say, you know, impeachment is unlikely. He'll most likely be slapped with a different kind of sanction. If the latter is true, what might that different sanction be?
Well, there is no other different sanction that might be imposed. The JSC decided that it will recommend impeachment, and the only role that the Parliament has to play in this process is impeachment. So I struggle to think of any other one, because in terms of the law, there is no other. The Parliament has to vote to remove Judge Hlophe, or they could decide not to remove him. If they decide not to remove him, then he will continue in his job. But removal is the only option in terms of the law.
Mbekezeli Benjamin, let me thank you for your time this morning. Advocacy Officer at Judges Matter, as we continue to track the story around Western Cape Judge President John Hlophe. Of course, the story 14 years in the making.